Morning and welcome to the third live streaming session on Facebook. Today we're going to be focusing mainly on retirement, and we're going to be discussing a couple of the key issues that we feel as developers are pertinent to talk about. What we're just going to quickly go through is a couple of quick points and then go into the question and answer session. As always, we're going to try and keep this tight. We want to have a 20-25 minute slot somewhere around there. And then thereafter, if there are any other comments that we've missed or questions, please just respond or query them on the page, and we'll endeavour to get the answers back to you. If needs be, another session will be had. So first and foremost, retirement. The demand for retirement is absolutely massive as the population grows and as the population is living longer. The need for good retirement products are becoming more and more in demand. So one of the first and fundamental questions that most retirees or people looking to move into retirement space wants to know is care. Where are we on care? What's our view on care? What is care? So care is more than just medical facilities or services. So frail care is a component. Fortunately, across in the Sabaya node where we are planning, our retirement facility, we've got a frail care facility that's currently under construction and almost finished. That's actually something that we will be tying into. It's a really, really great facility, state of the art. It's probably going to be about 1 kilometer from our proposed location. But more importantly, other than just medical, it's the ability to service and make retirees' lifestyles more convenient. So, on-site nursing facilities, very close proximity to retail facilities, home delivery for shopping, if needs be, access to really good social facilities as well. So care is not just physical, it's also mental. So, having clubs and clubhouses that facilitate networking of older people, particularly older people that are on their own. So facilities like games rooms and card rooms and sewing clubs, aerobics, water aerobics, little golf putting greens, a bowling club. All those are the things, the social interaction as you get older becomes, quite daunting for some, but it's actually super necessary for the mental stimulation and mental health. So those are some of the facilities that we are basically focusing on. One of the other big things that goes sort of hand in hand is the modern day retirement. What does the modern day retiree want? Long gone are the days where guys, enter into a retirement facility at 65 and, looking at a 5 to 10 year lifespan. Now, with working later and living longer, the retirees could be entering at 70, 75 and living right through to 95 plus. So it's very important that these spaces that we create are not, they're not sort of boxy, almost like morbid places. They've got to be open. They've got to have large green networks running through them. By this, I mean parks and various facilities that link in, encourage community-based living, encourage active living. So mountain bike tracks and jogging tracks and walking tracks and dog parks. Those are the things that the modern day retiree wants, to be able to walk to the shops and have a coffee with mates, or to walk to a hairdresser and then have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee afterwards. Those are fundamental things that have popped up on the demand at the moment. So our products that we are looking at designing and will be actually rolling out towards the end of the year. Sorry, I'm getting a couple of questions in already. We'll get to all these questions. So a lot of the products that we are going to be designing are focusing on lifestyle, are focusing on healthy, modern lifestyle, privacy blended with community. I think the necessity on pretty much most of the demands that we're seeing are little gardens, the ability to do your own rose garden, the ability to have your own pets, the ability to, do a little horticultural vegetable sort of area that you can go and plant and harvest organic vegetables with your mates, as an example, to be able to walk down and get onto a putting green and have 3 or 4 guys chipping and putting and those type of interactions, and then the guys to be able to go and have a beer, or the woman to go and play golf and have a gin and tonic afterwards, or whatever it is. I think it's that active lifestyle is certainly way more pertinent in modern day times than it was, say, 20, 30 years ago. So that's something that, as a developer, we're focusing on highly. Our track record, obviously, running through Sabaya is, we've sort of pushed out close to about 1,000 units, and a lot of engagements with elderly buyers. Sort of, when I say elderly, 60 plus, a lot of the guys just want that active lifestyle. They want the ability to meander through large areas, to interact with not just retirees, to go to the common restaurants and common parks and clubhouses and have young families. Maybe it's their younger offspring, have a dinner with them, have a Sunday lunch, as an example, at a clubhouse or facility that's quite walkable and amenable for all. At the same time, those facilities also need to cater for younger kids, because a lot of the sons or daughters have got offspring, and obviously, keeping the kids entertained is also a big thing. So I think those are the facilities that we're going to be, focusing on our designs that we are currently underway. To give you an idea, at the moment we've got about 88 home types that we are, perusing through and just basically streamlining, ranging from 1, 2, and 3 beds, all with study option, or with garages or garage option, and storeroom. So, the ability for a guy to be able to go into his garage and do a bit of woodwork, or make something, or tinker in the garage is very important. It just gives that, particularly for the man, a bit of private social activity in his own space, as well as obviously the common facilities. So the freedom of lifestyle we talked about. What is very important is not feeling isolated, and it's the ability to easily link into shops, hairdressers, salons, some pubs, some pool or snooker rooms, dart rooms, games rooms, and then also be able to walk through into the forest areas, have a really nice walk through into some of the dense forest, into some bird hides, just some solace, maybe some really cool outdoor library spaces. Obviously, the normal facilities, the pools and the bowling greens and all that as well. So that's the lifestyle sort of that we are orientating our design around. Just also, I'm thinking in terms of that, how it ties into my first comment, which was, the length of stay. Currently a retiree, let's say entering at 65 or 70, it's no longer, a 5-year, sort of stay period. It could be up to 20, 25 years. And we see a lot of the retirees, particularly if you look up at Howick, they've got their own community. It's something that is potentially a 20 to 25 year last home purchase. And we see that as an important aspect when doing design. Homes must be front facing, which is, your more communal areas where you can walk out in your garden and talk over a little garden wall to your neighbor across the road or next to you or whatever. At the same time, go back into the sort of the back of the house, which on our scheme will border a green belt, so you've got some privacy and some solace. Kick your feet up, read a book, watch the sunset. That's sort of the importance of the blend of keeping this lifestyle right for a longer term period. Obviously, access down to the beach as well is a big one. Being able to walk down to the beach, or get a golf cart, or say a 2-minute car trip down to the beach, and walk your dog, watch the sun come up on the beach, have a coffee or a tea or whatever it is, and come back and then do your day-to-day things like shopping and all the rest of it on the way back. The final thing we just would like to quickly chat about is price freedom. So, as a retiree coming out of a 3 or 4 million rand home, what we've seen is that the the market doesn't necessarily want to spend the full 3 or 4 million rand on a new home. So it's typically about 60%, 50 to 60% is the sweet spot in terms of that spend. So the products that we are currently designing, and obviously we'll keep everyone informed, are going to be ranging in that 2 to 3 million rand mark. In fact, even 2 to 2.5 million is the bulk of the stock that we're going to be looking at. We feel that that's super important, very critical to keep that price point down, but provide a good product and good facilities. It allows a bit of capital freedom for the buyer. If they want to go on a cruise, if they want to go on a holiday, if they want to enjoy, the next sort of phase of their lifestyle without being sort of burdened with, all their cash is in this asset, and they're not allowed any freedom going forward. So I think that's very, very important as well. The final point is just, retirement as an investment opportunity is also an absolutely fantastic opportunity. There's a massive rental demand. So even if you're slightly younger, 50, 55, and looking to get into a really good facility, future planning or future proofing, you'll still get a really good income based on renting that unit out. And it's something that, it's something to look at and something to just be vigilant about, making sure you get into these nodes. There's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of freestanding retirement sort of options close to the beach with facilities at the moment. A lot of the stock is quite aged and old, and it's not really designed for the modern day retirement. So just really have a think about your next property acquisition. It could be, if you're not on that sort of 50 to 60 year old band and not ready to go into it, doesn't mean you have to buy to enter. You can buy to rent out and choose to enter when you want, but at least you've got sort of a foot in the door. Okay, so we're going to go start into some of the questions. Maury says, hi Charles, when do you think people should start investing in their retirement? So I think, the retirement investment, all the financial analysts always say that you should be putting X amount of your salary away, every year. So I don't think there's any time too soon to start. If you haven't started, I would suggest starting. A lot of people don't necessarily need to save money at a bank. You can actually put it into your property, pay off your property, and use that as your equity to sell, and then obviously move into retirement space later. So however you're doing it, it is important to have a little piggy bank of some sort that you're, sort of keeping aside with the end in mind that, for 20 odd plus years, you may be collecting a pension or a private pension, but there's not going to be any other income. So it's to try and get into a space and not miss opportunities as they come up, because there's not a lot that do come up. As a young investor, is retirement a good option for a younger market? It's when you say young, I would say if you're under 30, 35, I wouldn't see it as an option to buy into now. It's a much smaller market than your general property market. It's a very emotional market, and a lot of the guys that move in, they don't want to be moved out. So it's not something you can flit between year leases and 2-year leases. It's quite a long stay lease if you do plan on buying to lease out. And so for me, the retirement market is a good investment opportunity, but it's really more an investment opportunity for an ultimate end user. What do you reckon the best purchase methods are? So the purchase methods, Cliff, are as you become a retiree. So let's say you've physically retired from work. The banks don't generally give you a high gearing on lends. By that, I mean they're not going to give you an 80% bond because you don't have a proven earning ability unless you've got a really healthy pension that's paying out in perpetuity. Most of the options, depending on your age, would be a large amount of cash. If you can get in slightly earlier, say 55, 60, and you're still working, you can get up to your 80 or 90% bonds. Obviously bank dependent, but so that actually is a really good question. It actually is better financially if you can get in early and gear it with the banks with the aim to moving in say 5 or 10 years time. Obviously we look at generally paying off a property on a bond every sort of 10 years. You should be able to manage paying that bond back plus a little bit of extra plus the rental. You should probably be able to get through that in 10 years. So, if you're aiming to get into a retirement facility at say 70 and you're sitting at the age now of 58, 59, actually a great time to buy and use the bank facility whilst you can still get it. Life right versus rental, versus outright purchase. Yeah, so we're going to focus highly on the outright purchase. There will be some life right options. It'll be a blend. I think our South African market responds well to just an outright purchase. It becomes an asset that obviously you can then pass on to your next generation below, because it's going to have intrinsic value and intrinsic growth. A lot of the sort of discussions I've had with retirees is that they actually do want to leave something for their next of kin, their kids, or their sons or daughters. It's a nice safe property investment. It's a good growing value property investment. And once again, as developers and with our track record of what we've done, we put a lot of emphasis on making sure those properties are managed well. The facilities look good, the landscaping is managed, the clubhouses are managed, and that all grows the intrinsic value of the property over a period of time. And then, going back to what I said, maybe it's a 20, 25-year stay. That property should double or triple in that period. So every 8 to 10 years, we generally look at property doubling in value. So to have that outright ownership and the growth on that is a really good investment. Frail care, Anthony, frail care is, as I said, is getting built currently. It's about, I would say, it's about a kilometre away from the site that we're proposing. It's a really state-of-the-art, brand new facility, and we'll be tying into that. And then also, obviously the main hospital facilities of Umhlanga, Gateway Hospital, they're probably in the region of about 6-7 kilometers away. So really, really state-of-the-art, good high-end hospitals, on your doorstep as well. Share some advice on retirement planning. Yeah, so retirement planning is I think best wills in the world. We always try to plan for our retirements, but for me, I'm heavy on the side of property. I really believe property, it'll have its dips, it'll go up and down. It's not as volatile as the stock market, as long as you're investing in the right areas. Once again, banging on about key location, good areas, well-managed developments, well-managed facilities. I think if you can get into there, whether it be a 2-bed apartment at Ocean Dune or anything like that, I really believe that to get stuck into that force, the payoff of those properties, they're clicking up every year. You're getting the rental income. For me, if you can, buy a second property, that's a really, really good retirement plan. Other guys might put into an Allen Gray fund or whatever, but once again, you don't have control on that. You might have a 15% return in 1 year, and you might have a 0% return the next year. So no one can give you a definite on that. So for me, I would definitely, and I'm going into property. So I always buy key assets in key locations that I know in 10 years' time will still be high in demand. And generally stuff in our region, generally stuff on the coastline is the safest bet you're going to have. So everything in Durban, everything seaside of the M4 is pretty much where you want to be. Brad says, would you see retirement units as an asset class for a rental model, or would you see most buyers being end users? So Brad, I think I probably answered that a little bit earlier, but yeah, so it's a blend it's a blend of both actually. You can get in as an investment, and then you can go into that unit as an end user at a later stage. So Michelle says, what about running a small business from home? Some people can't afford to retire completely, but would like the security and lifestyle of a retirement facility. Another point, especially for single divorced people, an income generating flat. So 100%. I mean, I think it's basically your home. So if you want to design it with a little home study, a home office, if you want to design it with a little guest facility at the back that you can rent out, I think it's up to the individual. Very creative ways, Michelle, as you've aptly put in the question. How do you generate some extra cash? If that is a current status where you are, we would say, well, maybe it's a 3-bedroom unit you're looking at, but one of the bedrooms gets converted into study to allow you to run your small business from home. Once again, that's brilliant for your mental health as well, stimulating and keeping that going, as well as obviously having an income generation. So that question, a really good question. And yes, that would certainly be something. For instance, myself, I would want that. I would want to have my own home office, and maybe there would be an annex onto the building of some sort that you could sublet or something like that. Does age really matter when purchasing a retirement opportunity? I'm 32. I have the financial capacity. Would it be worthwhile looking into it now? So, Taryn, yeah, I think there's along with this retirement concept that we're doing, there's going to be another concept which is for younger families and younger professionals such as yourself. So I would probably advise you to go to that. As I say, it's a bigger market, and the prices will click up exactly the same as the retirement, but it allows you the flexibility of living there if you want to or if you need to. If you don't want, say for instance, you don't have a tenant for 6 months and your lease is up, you can move in and live and enjoy the facilities of living there as well. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility moving into a product that's sort of more suited to your age category. So the Butch says, we've sold our property in Cape Town. We took a haircut of 20% in order to sell. Have the KZN property prices dropped a similar amount over the past 18 months? Butch, yeah, they actually have. I'm not sure whether they're 20%. The freestanding properties we see are definitely taking some serious haircuts. As an example, one of my colleagues had a house in Durban North, which is a really good area. 5.2 million was on the market. 3 months later, it dropped to 4.9. 3 months later, 4.7, and eventually took an offer, I think, after about 7 months at 4.3. So, yeah, I mean, that is about a 20% haircut on that particular instance. The demand for, free standing homes is decreasing. The demand for more convenience living, more safe, ability to have this community where you can walk on the roads and walk with your dogs and cycle and all those facilities in-house, I think is going to continue to grow, and we'll see sort of estate-style living continue to click up in value, and we're going to see the freestanding stuff continue to decrease in value. So to answer your question, I would say yes, but in the States, I would say no on that one. How does one deliver a retirement product within the price range of the majority of the retirement market? That's a very good question, that. So we were lucky enough to acquire a large tract of land. We are in the process of rezoning it at the moment, and that allows us to get our land prices in at a very reasonable price. And when you look at any development, there's obviously a land cost. There's a profit which generally will equal the land cost, and then there's the build of a retirement facility. So, and then on top of all of that, you've got to add that, and you've got to add a commission. So whatever your land cost is, if you can drop that land cost by say 200,000 a plot, actual cost, serviced cost, it means that your profit margin can drop as well, because you're not, as a developer, we have to put the equity in. We want to match our equity with the profit. So that both drops down. So you've got to say, call it 400,000 Rand off the end product price, plus you've got the 20% VAT and commission on that number. So just that 200,000 Rand saving on the land cost actually extrapolates into 500,000 Rand saving on the end product price. So we've been really fortunate that we've actually got a piece of land that's relatively flat, close to all the bulk services, and we can get that out to the market at a really, really good price. Are you guys involved in one? As you guys are involved in one upcoming retirement development, Sabaya, do you plan on developing any more retirements in the future? If so, what would it be in Sabaya as well as a different area in KZN? Okay, so yeah, we've got a large retirement plan for Sabaya. We feel it's the right area. We feel the modern day retiree wants to travel, wants to have beach access, wants to have forest access, wants to have facilities, wants to be close to the main sort of new city, which is Umhlanga. So you've got the hospitals and Gateway and all the other sort of amenities around that area. So, as well as the nature and the sea and all that stuff, you don't want to be isolated, somewhere completely out of anywhere. So you've got no interactions, with your kids, say, living in Lucia, or so. We feel, that the Sabaya node is absolutely perfectly poised for retirement. Ticks every single box. It's a safe area. It's easy to get to. It's an up and coming area. It's going to grow in capital radically over the next 10 years. So yeah, because of the large chunk of land that we've got, we generally will be playing in Sabaya for the next 5 years, maybe even 10 years. So there are other options. Sure, there are other options, but we feel strongly that Sabaya is probably the most prime opportunity for retirement at the moment, and hence why we're playing there. Morning, Charles. Is home-based care an implementable thing for developers? So yes, developers wouldn't actually do the actual home-based care. We would outsource to a care company that would, for instance, have an on-site nurse, collect and dispense the medicines, assist, at homes, deliver food, maybe deliver meals. Assisted living is not just necessarily only medical. So I think yes, we would definitely be implementing. I think it's a non-negotiable. You have to have that facility. It is something that we've actually gone around the country and had a look at about 7 or 8 different retirement facilities. Some are good, some are not so good. And we focused highly on the service demands there and took a leaf out of those books in terms of what's working. You mentioned that lifestyle plays a massive role in retirees' homes. In saying that, although the estates may have their own facilities, there will still be a need for the younger retirees to access shopping malls, medical centres, etc. Does Sabaya plan on developing a shopping mall and medical centre and more for the future? Thanks, Christy. 100%. We definitely are in the process of designing a mall at the moment. It comes with a lifestyle facility, which is restaurants and pubs and all of that, as well as your big boxes, as well as your hairdressers and your smaller boutique shops, as well as a medical center and a conference facility. So and probably some form of church or / church conference facility together. So yes, 100%. We firmly believe that is almost a catalyst for our younger phase of development and our older phase. Everyone needs to be able to go and do their shopping, go to a really good gym, go pop in and grab milk and bread close, fill up their car with fuel close, have an array of probably 4 or 5 different restaurants that they can use for lunch, breakfast, dinner, be able to cycle to a little coffee shop in the forest. All these little things are certainly things which we believe are non-negotiables. So the answer to that question is 100% yes. What have you found to be the most crucial care facility when it comes to assisted living? Frail care versus home-based care? Does this depend on the age group you are generally having as residents? And do the various 3 options have different cost implications? Good question again, Christy. Yeah. So, look, the age actually isn't actually a baseline for answering those 3 questions. It's really about condition. So you can have a 70-year-old lady that's had a stroke, and maybe they are in a really a need position versus a 90-year-old man who's doing 2 kilometers a day in the pool. So it's not based on age. I think the assisted living is something that would come out of the care facility that we arrange. Frail care can be either literally you're really in trouble and you need to go to the frail care or into the ICU at a hospital, or it could be a recovery facility. You've had a hip replacement as an example, and you need to be in a frail care facility for a period of time before going home, and then there's home care treatment, and then obviously you're back on your feet effectively. So those 3 different tiers I would go full medical, i.e. hospital, proper ICU, frail care facility, which is, as I said, we've got up just up the road, and then in-house, in-care, home-based care would be in-house. So the three bands would certainly be covered. Okay, guys, so I think the questions are sort of done. We will keep you all informed. Thank you very much for dialing in. We are, sorry, one last question. Butch, are the units you are developing standalone and what size? Yep, all going to be standalone, and they're going to range from, say, a 2-bed, 3-bed, or 4-bed. Yeah, they're going to range from probably 60, 70 squares up to like 150, 160, depending on price point. I believe they'll probably get going, first half of next year we'll start, and we've got our intentions to do about 350 units. Whether they're phased or not, I can't tell you at this stage. It'll be obviously subject to demand, but I can see us probably doing at least 150 to 200, first phase, and rolling that out. If the demand is as we think, we'll probably just bang the whole lot out in one go. But primarily, we'll be ensuring that the clubhouses and facilities for phase one will be in, from day one. I think that's a big concern that developers generally leave some of those facilities. We work exactly the opposite way around. If you look at Gold Coast as an example, we get in there, we build the clubhouse facilities, and then we build the homes, often in tandem. So Steph, sorry, one more comment, guys, and then we'll shut down. Do you see the number of Gauteng-based people retiring to KZN increasing? 100%. I think the lifestyle we have in Durban, let's call it the consistent weather. We don't have really cold winters. We've got quite low traffic on our roads. We've got access to a beautiful sea, warm, usable ocean. Our prices are actually quite low. Rate per square is still quite low when we look at Cape Town. So I do think that we're going to see an influx from Gauteng. I think we're going to see an influx from Cape Town. I think Durban, for a retiree, is an absolutely fantastic place to land. The facilities are all here. So I do see a big influx nationally, never mind Gauteng. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will be doing another cast on Tuesday, and we'll let you know during the course of either the weekend or on Monday what we're going to be chatting about. But thanks for dialing in, and if there's any comments, questions, please put them on our Facebook page. And for all your mates that have missed it in terms of retirees, please send this video to them, and stay in touch. Thanks very much, and God bless South Africa.